Hey, today I'm going to do a quick video on an oil change on the XT225, which is a reliable form of transportation as well as a nice trail bike I use riding around. It's a simple process. So what the drain bolt is actually underneath the skid plate, which I'll have off in the video because I never put it back on the first time, but you're going to have to remove the skid plate because right there is your 19 millimeter drain bolt that you need to pull out. The skid plate comes off with this 10 millimeter bolt here, and keep this in mind when you put it back in, but it'll slide underneath, and there's two rubber grommets. The other one's kind of pushed up, you can't see it, but one on the right, one on the left. This just slides in there first, and then you'll bolt it up to the top. Those rubber gaskets are kind of shaped like a C inwards, and there's a metal bracket they slide onto first. So if those fall out, you just slide those rubber things back in. That kind of keeps it from vibrating, and it gives it some play, I guess. But those will be in there. This is your oil filter. You can order these online. They're cheap, small oil filters. There'll be two 8 millimeter bolts on top, and then this down here is a number 5 Allen key. So any kind of Allen key will work. They shouldn't be too tight, and you'll pull that oil filter out, put a new one in. This is your fill hole. You'll take that off when you're draining it and putting oil back in. Well, it doesn't drain from there, but it drains better with that off, and that's about it. But I'm going to show some of the work today just to give you an idea how this goes. Also, this takes 1 quart of 10W30 per the manual. I think its capacity is a little over a quart, 1.2 or something. But if you drain it out, not all of it comes out. And I find that 1 quart puts it back into the normal range on the sight glass. So 10W30, I just use regular 10W30 because I change it every 1,000 to 2,000 miles. What I like about these things too is they got a sight glass right there. Here's a view of the oil sight glass. It's a little tilted, so it's actually a little higher than that. But if you'll see the very bottom line on the left, that is the too low. The very top line on the right, not the one just below it, is overfill. And the ones right there, the shorter ones on the inside, kind of where the oil level is now, if you look over to the left, that is the you can be in between that line and the one just up to the right. And if you have it in between those two, I usually keep it just to the very top inside line to keep it normal. You know, if you're in between those two lines, those two shorter lines, not the two extremes on the very bottom and top, you're perfect. So this is, if this was accurate, this would be just barely enough, but when I tilt it up, it goes up to the other line on the right, on the inside. So that is your sight glass. Very easy to check oil. I love this sight glass, and you can see the skid plate on, and you've got a good view of it. So it's easy to tilt the bike over before you ride and just give it a check. I'm gonna crank it up, I didn't get the oil very warm, so I'm just gonna crank it up real quick, get the oil warm in it. And get the oil all warmed up. So you got a 19 on there. So you just need to loosen that off. Get that loose. That's going to drain your oil. Just that's pretty tight. Whoop. Pretty tight, but I've got an oil leak. I think it's coming from the O-rings on the starter right here. I've replaced that O-ring. The starter O-ring is always a problem on this thing. I don't know. I just can't get it to stop leaking. You know, the oil you see on the bottom here, it leaks out. It's not a problem. I don't really have to add oil, but it's just annoying. It keeps it kind of oil all over it. So I'm going to pull this out. And what you're going to have when you pull this out is a spring. Take note of the spring, the way it comes out, and put it in the right way because it's got a little filter on the back. That goes in first. We'll clean that out with some brake cleaner. But I think maybe it's the oil filter. I put something in backwards one time, and you just got to pay attention to the way you pull it out. But we'll let that drain out. This doesn't take a lot of oil. I believe it's about a quart, but that looks pretty dark. And just remove the this out. It'll make it drain better. In cars, anything with oil cap. Removing that will make it drain that much better. Just make sure you pull that out. Don't lose it. Sometimes I misplace this and I can't find it for 30 minutes. Put it somewhere where you know where it is. I've got a whole bunch of them. This is my last one I've got, but oil filter is a small little thing. I'll definitely change that out. It's so easy every time I change the oil. Just that. But what we can do is, I think it's 10 millimeter. No, that's an 8. Stand by. That is an 8 millimeter on your 2 bolts and an Allen. Just get an Allen key. I don't know what size it is. I have to find it, but it's pretty common size. Okay, that's still draining out. We're going to catch the oil from the bottom there, and now I'll get an Allen and get that out. Anytime you use these little sets like this, where you can, you know, this is nice to have. It's got all kinds of sizes in it, but if you use a quarter inch socket, it'll fit on these, and you can use a ratchet to use these tools. Let's see what size this thing is. Ooh, let's see. All right, number 5 Allen head, number 5 metric. Can't see that on there, probably not. But then I'll get a 1/4 inch socket. All right, number 5. Twist that out. Put a little screwdriver on there with a 1/4 inch if you have one of those. I mean, that would be fast. Pull that out. Let's get your 8. I think these are different size bolts, so just really simple. Just see where you pull them out and put them back in the same way. You'll know when you put them in the wrong one. So I've got the Allen on the bottom. And when you pull this out, this is what I wanted to show you to note, because this is what I think I put on backwards one time, just not paying attention. I tend to do things like that. Leave it to me to screw up a perfectly good engine if you give me the chance. So you gotta really pay attention here. Okay, that's a short one. All right, so you pull that off. There's your little cover. O-ring looks pretty good. This is the time you could replace it. I find O-rings are hard to find, man. So going to part stores and finding the exact size is probably a better bet. I just can't seem to find them online. Let's pull that out. Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, maybe I had the oil filter in backwards, but if you'll note, like just a simple ring, it goes on the outside, and the fancy little grommet goes on the inside there. So you see some gunk and stuff it's catching in there, just like, you know, a little bit of dirty oil and stuff. So it's good to replace this. All right, and that's it. So you're going to put this back in. Now if you wanted to, you could take the spark plug wire off and then crank it over a few times and just kick out any excess oil, but I'm just going to let this be it today, because I'm probably going to change it again. I drive this quite a bit, so another 1,000, 2,000 miles, let's get another quart of oil. So 10W30 is what the manual that I don't have with it recommends online. So 10W30 is what I'm putting back in. I just put in regular 10W30. So you notice the screen for the drain plug's got gunk in it, so I just take some carb cleaner. Try to get all that out best I can. That's about empty. Actually, brake cleaner is probably the best option all around for cleaning parts inside the engine there. So just gonna, this is gonna do a much better job here. Oh yeah. You can use a brake cleaner to clean off all your parts. Just why not get it clean, get all the old residue off. Shoot yourself in the eyeballs. Now I don't know if the brake cleaner is probably easier on these gaskets. I think that's the case. I'm no expert, but I think that's what I've been told. Yeah, beautiful. If we didn't do that, it doesn't even matter, but I don't know, why not? There anything else I need to clean? I think I'll clean off the Yeah. This looks all right, but make sure there's no gunk in there. Okay. There is some old oil in here. You can dry that out or get it out. I don't really want to spray that out, but I could. Okay, now when you put your oil filter back in again, this fancy side, I call it the fancy side, not this one. This side goes in first. I think this is the one where I screwed up one time, had it in backwards. I'm not sure what it did, but I put that in there. This little thing goes inside the circle, and you just kind of line up with the holes. You'll see the shape and the way it goes in, and it goes in just like that. Let's see. It's the long bolt. Long bolt was over here, right? Yeah. And then we had your shorty over here. And you had your Allen here. I don't torque it, I just put it on nice and snug. Use common sense with these smaller bolts. I got a small ratchet, so you get a small ratchet, you're not going to wring things off if you're not really experienced with this stuff. But you know, it doesn't need a lot. It just needs to be snug. And if you find that you're going really tight or too tight, and it's still leaking out, well, your gasket's probably flattened out, and you need to try to hunt down a new one. This one seems to be okay for now. I'm going in with my 10W30. Kind of show you. So I'll start pouring. If memory serves me correct, I can pretty much pour in this entire bottle, but I'll stop and see. Should use a funnel. My funnel's got pieces of debris in it, so I got to clean that out too. But now, oh yeah, we are almost. I'm gonna go level. See the wheels there. Yeah, that's enough. A quart when you put it back in and when you drain it. So see that new fresh oil in there? It's just above the top line. Now that other line on top, I think I said it before, if you go over that, that's overfilled. So keep it between the two shorter lines. As the last step, if you got a skid plate, is to put this back on the bottom. You see the circle for the oil sight, so that goes on like that. This back part will squeeze into the rubber grommets. This will come up to a hole, and you'll place your. But look at this. This is why. It's probably why I didn't put it back on last time. I didn't feel like cleaning it. Look at that. Just a lot of the oil's gotten down there, so it needs to be. So what I'll do is remove this. This is like a mat. Clean all this out and put it back on. So when I get this cleaned, I'm going to show you how to put this back on too. Why not? But this would have come off before if you had it on there. Yeah, you got something this filthy. Would have better get the pressure washer out. But I try to keep this on actually, because when you're riding a bike like this, you usually, whenever you get a chance, you go find some spots to do some trail riding, and I get in some pretty gnarly stuff sometimes. And this is a great skid plate. Like, I don't think the newer XT250s come with something like that. That's a nice skid plate, man. Like, that's just tough, durable. So there's little rubber things that slide in here. Those will come out, so make sure those don't fall out when you're taking this skid plate out. They do, they go in just like that. Inside, they go up above. There's a metal, a piece of metal right there, and they'll squeeze in between, kind of bite it like it's an, I don't know, an alligator or something on both sides. And the skid plate's gonna go underneath, slide in there. I guess that's for vibration and stuff. So the back of this is gonna go in there, but there's a piece of metal in there that the rubber's going around, so you gotta go underneath that rubber and slide it in, and those will go against the engine. So I'm gonna take two hands and slide this in, and once you get it lined up, there's a hole up here in the front of the frame. Yeah, so I've got it in there, and so that's why you just got to remove this to change the oil, because it covers that. And this will go up to here and line up with that hole, and you'll put your bolt back in there, and you should be good to go. Can somebody tell me why they say 9 on the bolt and it's a 10mm? Don't understand that. I'm sure it's obvious. All right, get that tightened in there real good. It should go in nice and easy and snug her up. Okay. All right. This good plate looks good. There's your sight hole. You can see your oil now with the thing on there. Awesome. So I'll clean this thing up a little bit. That is the oil change on the XT225.